told my parents about a new hobby I was starting, to which my mother replied, quote, "Oh, please, you're gonna quit it like you do everything else," end quote. When I tell you, I slowly rotated to her and said, "What is a hobby or project that you started and finished?" The silence was so loud.
I'm listening to it
Boy,
right now.
boy.
Like the only hobby and project. Oof, hold on. Now.
Damn.
Hold on.
That boy was about to get sticky with it. Sticky, icky, icky, ooh, ooh.
Was creating life. That was it.
I'm going to bleep that, and it's just going to sound like you said some outlandish shit, bro. The only hobby you had is...
Like that SpongeBob episode.
Yeah. Yeah, which, I mean, the reason I found this interesting is because, yeah, like, you could look at us like, oh, you always got something new going on. You always doing something. But, like, yeah, like, I enjoy these things. What's the problem? Who am I hurting with these?
Yeah, so my thing is, like, isn't that what keeps you alive and living and not just breathing or existing?
Yeah.
Like, why is it that you have to finish something to be like, oh, you're successful? Like, that's the measurement of successful. Like, what if, I mean, yeah, granted, like, it'd be nice to see the end or the outcome of something.
Right.
But honestly, anything that you start and it's a hobby or something, there's no end in sight, really. There is no end point, no finish, no I'm done, no I've reached this, that, and the third. You just keep going, right?
Yeah.
And let it evolve into something maybe even totally different.
And it's kind of like the generations before us don't really believe in hobbies. They believe in work and home. That's it.
Now, when you say the generation before us, I think it was because it's more so like the people who are stuck with the idea, who also grew up in the idea of reality, quote unquote.
Yeah,
right?
It could be, yeah.
Like, you can only do so much. You can only chase your dreams for so long, and if you don't, then you have to set in with the grind of
Right.
making it from paycheck to paycheck, or just working to pay for your bills and stuff.
Yeah.
And support your whatever family you've created, X, Y, and Z.
Right.
But there are people who have chased their dream, which is why we have artists in different avenues, actors, actresses, painters, people who have, like, don't live within those same parameters and have pushed through. And regardless of what people think about hobbies and stuff, they made it a reality for themselves. And that's the power of the mind, dude.
And there's like a cool like scenario where like people can turn their hobbies into income, into their job. And that's great. But also, if you don't, that's also fine.
Yeah, like,
at least you're doing something.
Sometimes they say, like, if you have a hobby and it becomes a work, like a job, or like tedious because, like, you have to maintain or to keep it up, it doesn't become a hobby anymore. It's lost kind of that title for you within your heart, within your mindset and dedication. But you still have the drive because you're like, well, this is now my livelihood. I got to maintain this. And now you have a new hobby. So then you quit that and you start something else. And so, but you've been successful at this hobby, like, regardless. So, like, again, there's no end point. It's just,
it's something similar happened to Claudia. Like, her hobby was photography, but then it became where, like, she was now getting paid to do photography, and she was like, nah, like, I don't want to do it that way. Because there's much more pressure when you're doing it as a job than when you're doing it as a hobby.
Yeah, it's you have the freedom to do and be yourself, and work at your own pace.
Work at your own pace. That's the big thing.
That's a big thing, yeah. Because, like, if you're working for somebody, you have that deadline. You have that, like, hey, I want it by so and so time. Can you do this, that, and the third? And it's no longer more of your idea, but you having to create someone else's idea.
Yeah.
Right. And so that kind of, I mean, and that's. But that's also, like, kind of where it comes from, whether it's a hobby versus a passion. And I think we've had that conversation. That passion comes from mastery.
Yeah.
Right? or a video that we saw, like, or
something
about,
like that. Yeah,
it mentioned that passion comes from mastery.
Yeah.
Right.
So real quick, the video was talking about a man who was talking to he was talking to a tile person, and the guy was like, "This man talked to me for an hour about tile." And it wasn't because he grew up wanting to be somebody who lays tile, bathroom tile.
No one.
Yeah,
Wait,
that's not.
Lay tile for the
that's
rest
not
of
a
my
specific goal. Like unless you see your dad do it or whatever, right?
Right.
But like this person was gone talking about tile, and it was because he had developed a passion because he had mastered this and he had learned so much about this specific thing that he was like, I love it, and I could talk about it for hours.
Yeah. And that only comes from his experience, his knowledge, and the time that he's put into that.
Right.
It was a job, but it became a passion because he's doing it. He knows the ins and outs, and he can speak on it. There's like a tile theory for this man, you know? Like, like the tiles speak to me.
Music to his ears.
That's where, passion comes from.
Yeah.
Is from that mastery of that skill, trade, job, whatever, hobby. Because you can master hobbies, right? Like, I know the ins and outs of X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with that. However, to keep it as a hobby, it's like it has to be pure enjoyment. It has to be something that you do in your free time that might bring you money.
Yeah.
Excuse me. That might become a full-time deal, but you're still only doing it because...
Damn, dog.
Yeah, sorry. I was chewing some gum, and I don't know if I got some air in the wrong windpipe here.
Yeah.
It's all coming up or whatever. But, so you can do your hobby and everything full-time, X, Y, Z, and all that stuff, but as long as you have the drive, the passion, or the love for it, where you're only doing it because it simply brings you joy, that is like a hobby, not a passion, because you might not know everything about your hobby. I'm still learning.
I just love doing it.
Arts and crafts. Like, how do you become a master of creativity?
Right.
Like, you can be an architect, and like you can know how structure things are supposed to be, but when it comes to creativity, like, there's no rules, laws, and stuff that you have to you're bound to, except for like the laws of the earth, the universe.
And that's why I'm kind of torn between that video that we saw, because that video was like kind of on the side of like, don't give too much to the art. Like, you can find passion in regular jobs, which is true, but like basically I was just like, it's kind of going against what I do, or not do, but like what I have believed in for so long. Because anytime I have a hobby or something that I'm enjoy doing, I'm like, all right, let's do this, let's keep doing this until maybe one day we can monetize it and it can become a form of income for us or something,
Okay, so here's a quick question then. When it comes to making music, because that's kind of like your hobby, right? That's your hobby. Yeah. Can you talk hours on hours on hours about how to do it, how to be in it, and the ins and outs of it, like say a tile master?
I can't go into detail like he can, but I can tell you about my experiences and who inspires me, and the way that this person does this on this song, I'd like to make a song like that. Kind of that to that degree.
Right. Like, so you're saying, like, because it's not necessarily so much, because with the art of rapping or making music or being an artist in general, there's different flows. There's just so many avenues that can be unique to you.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so there's like no real mastery.
Yeah.
It's just,
because I'm far from a master at the craft. I'll tell you that much.
Okay. So we might have to put some music of his on here and we'll find out.
No.
We already talked about not doing that. But so yeah, okay. So that kind of goes back. It's like, you might be a master of what you are specifically doing, right? But there's always room for growth and change, right? But you have the experience because you've been doing it. The involvement with that realm of things because you're informed.
Yeah.
You're always taking notice of other people's stuff, things, and the way they go about things, the movement of things, so that what you want to implement and things that you might want to not necessarily copy, but like, take and change it and mold it into something that's you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's hard to, because he was so set on like mastery is where passion comes from, is why I'm opposed to it, because I'm like, you go back to when we were recording, you and I were making music at 16 years old, if I'm far from mastery right now, we weren't even considered.
Yeah, we didn't even like it.
But like, but what it is like there's a feeling that comes. I think passion to me is easily described more as a feeling. Like you kind of just feel it when you're talking about it, when you're doing it, when you're executing it, when you're getting success at it.
You're gonna have passion without
knowledge
of it.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why I get what the guy was saying in the video. He was more like,
maybe you can create passion through mastery.
Yeah.
You're like, this isn't what I wanted to do, what I wanted to be, but through my experience of doing this and getting so much knowledge of it, I've grown an appreciation that now I have a passion to do it correctly, to spread information on this, to be a part of this world that I have been put into.
Yeah. That being said, I don't think mastery brings passion either, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean,
I almost said that it did, but then I thought about it a little more. I was like, wait, no, it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because if you think about it, right, like if we want to consider skill as kind of like a mastery thing, right? Look at some good artists, right, that are like, you would consider that like they're naturally great at this.
Yeah.
They've mastered a way of doing this for them, right? Then they're like, yeah, but I just do it because it's there, it's fun, it's my hobby.
I'm good at it. Some people are just good at it, and they're like,
yeah, and it's just a segue into what they consider their passion, something that gets their blood boiling and their heart pumping, and they just like, I can't not have this, I can't not chase it because it drives me. There's something about it that just fuels me with such emotion and like, you know, to get them going into that. But this is a stepping stone. It's like, well, if this is where I have to go in order to get it, then I'm going to take it. But because I can do it well, because I have a mastery skill of it, doesn't mean that I'm passionate about it. It's just that I'm using this to get to my passion.
Yeah.
So I could see that too, yeah.